Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lillian and I'm here today to talk about astrology, specifically the sign Cancer. So if you're interested in learning more about the zodiac sign, then I encourage you to stick around. For the meantime, I'm just going to be annoying and ask you to please like this video, subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell. We already talked about Gemini, we already talked about Taurus, we already talked about Aries. Now we're on the fourth sign of the zodiac wheel, which is cardinal watery Cancer. So what the heck does this mean? Cancer. General overview of the energies of Cancer. Cancer is a water cardinal sign. We already talked about cardinal before when we were talking about Aries. Cardinal is all about change, new, innovation, being a leader, setting the trend. Well, I keep saying innovation. I guess Aquarius takes that word, I would say. When I think of Aquarius, I think of innovation. I wanted to say innovative and what? Sounded like Latin. Innovative. That's the word that I was trying to get out of my gullet. I want to use that word when I talk about cardinal energy, but I just can't give it to them. It's an Aquarius word, and that's just how I'm always going to think about that word when I say it. So sorry if I keep saying innovative. What I mean by that is just that they are trendsetters. They like to start new things, new ideas. They're the leaders of the zodiac. We already talked about that type of energy, but now you mix that in with water. What does that give you? Well, that gives you a Cancer. Archetype given to Cancer, the crab. Crab has a very strong, hard exterior that's there to protect its mushy insides. And that's exactly what you find when you encounter a Cancer. When you first meet them, it can be a little confusing for some people because when you first meet them, they will give you this very like cold and detached energy because they're feeling you out. They want to see if they can trust you, and they want to see if you're even worthy of building a connection with, because that's what water signs are most concerned with. Deep, long-lasting emotional connections. Water resonates with emotions. Just like fire resonates with creativity, and air resonates with thoughts, and earth resonates with materials and resources, while water is all about intuition. Also creativity, but I give that more so to the fire. Water energy can also be very creative, but more in an intuitive type way. Water energy is very intuitive, very deep running, very multi-dimensional, multifaceted. You think you get a grasp on it, but then it just slips right through your fingers like water does. I feel like how a lot of water signs feel, especially when it comes to things pertaining to their emotions. And you would think that because they are water ruled, they're really good with their emotions. But again, we'll talk about these manifestations a bit more in depth. The positive side of it can be that they can be very in touch with their emotions, very intuitive about how they feel, and they really don't have a hard time following that. This can also manifest in the other way, where because their emotions are so boundless and hard to pinpoint, if they don't really know themselves very well, then this can cause a lot of emotional turmoil, because it's like they never really know what the root cause of their discomfort is when it comes to something that makes them feel not great. Sometimes it can cause problems with understanding their emotions and why they feel the way they do, and they can be prone to explosive outbursts of emotion, but more on that in a second. Let's go back to some more general stuff about Cancer. So because they are the crab and they have this really tough, hard exterior, they can be a little misleading to people, because some people might think they're a little cold when they first meet them and then just write them off as being cold. People also do this with Aquarius, but the difference is Aquarius actually is like that deep down. That was kind of mean but true, Yeah, Aquarius, like they're just cold and detached all around, like that. They're not putting on an act. Cancer does this as a defense mechanism because they are the crab. They are concerned about security so much. I said Taurus is very security driven, and they are, but it's more in a resource type way. Taurus needs resources to feel secure, whereas Cancer needs connections to feel secure. Yeah, Cancer, they're gonna really look at their connections with people, things, places. It's gonna run really deep for them. Specifically though, just like things that cause them to have an emotional attachment. It's like Cancer really needs people and things that they have formed these deep bonds with to regulate their emotions. They seek that from the outside. It's so weird because like you'll meet a Cancer and it's like, oh, they were kind of like standoffish and stuff, and then like they let you in and feel like they can trust you, and then it's like it's a completely different person. They will be super, super nurturing, like mushy and intuitive, and they'll want to talk about your feelings, and they'll want to like really get down to the deep nitty gritty of why you feel the way you do. But it's going to take a while for them to open up because they're very slow to trust. They are very, very slow to trust, you know, because they are quite fragile on the inside, and it's all just a defense mechanism. And Cancer knows this. Cancer knows how mushy they are inside, and the people really close to them also know that. So that's why they only let very, very, very select and few people in, because they know how easy it is to just get, you know, stepped on like a crab, right? Crab has these, you know, very strong defense mechanisms to survive from predators and danger, but at the same time, once you gain that control over the crab, you can dominate it very quickly, and you can crush it very quickly and destroy everything that it has, because everything that's important to them, they have within them. And so that's why Cancers are very cautious with new people, new ventures, you know, things like that, because they don't want to lose everything they have, because it's very easy for somebody to get very close to them and just kind of like crush them in every sense. They can be quite vulnerable when they let you in, because, you know, the crab carries its home on its back. Cancers are going to be very, very concerned with their home, how comforting their home is. Their home's going to be like their sacred place. It's going to be where they go to retreat and escape from all the craziness. Out there in the world, they, you know, put a really good face on and can act quite tough. They can't keep up with that for long, because that's not really who they are. So they need somewhere to retreat to where they can just let their hair down and just be vulnerable and sensitive and just who they really are. But Cancers, like, they are big homebodies. They love to chill at home. I feel like that's why Cancers and Tauruses just get along so well, because they just like want to do the same thing. They just kind of want to like chill and be comfortable and eat nice food and watch their favorite show. So if you're a Taurus and you're looking for a best friend, maybe go find a Cancer and vice versa. Cancers, they will always have really beautiful homes or just very nice touches to their homes. If that's not it, then their home's just going to be their sacred space, like where they want to be all the time. We'll go out because they love to have connections with people and laugh and enjoy water run wild, but they can only do it for so much because their energy does get depleted easily by a lot of that interaction, so they need to just kind of like go retreat. Cancer is like the nice mom, the nice nurturing mom of the zodiac, and then Virgo's kind of like the bitchy out for you type mother. The nitpicky mother that just wants you to do amazing. Cancer is kind of like the mom that might feed you too much and lead you down the path of obesity, but at least she loves you very much and will always make you your favorite enchilada dish at the end of the day. Cancers, like, they are very maternal types. The Cancers, they can totally work with children. They lead with their emotions once their guard's down, and I think that's why they love working with children, because they don't feel like they're threatening, right? Like, children are very innocent, children are very playful, children are nice to most people for the most part. Extremely blunt, but yeah, Cancers love children energy because it's a vulnerable, kind, young energy that they know is not out to get them. To nurture something, they're gonna have a lot of pets or a lot of kids. Cancers are very romantic, again, because they're water, so they want to feel deep, they want to connect deep, so they're going to be very romantic, they're going to be very thoughtful partners. You can always, you know, talk to them about your feelings at the end of the day, you know, they're not going to judge you, and they're going to really try and like see eye to eye with why you're feeling that way, just like comfort you and make you a really nice bowl of soup. There's, like Taurus, they love their foodies, like they love to cook. They're very like anything around the home they'd love to do. Love to, you know, take the kids out to their soccer games, or like love to, you know, spend a lot of family time, or, you know, really make sure that the house is really nice and pleasant for their family members so they always feel comfortable and like, they love their home. Like, that's very important to them. They'll cook amazing meals. Actually, I have a family friend, she's a Cancer, and she's always posting about all the food she's cooking, and it looks so freaking good. Half the time I like scroll by it, I'm like, I can't click on this because I'm just gonna get hungry. That looks so good, and she's really far away, so like it's not like I can go over. It makes sense why she's so into like, you know, cooking really good, yummy, like comforting, and also like just like hosting people and stuff. Cancers can be a little competitive as well. It's funny because you don't really like see that right away, but they can give you some competitive energy. But that's just because they are cardinal ruled, so that makes sense. But also because they're so set on being secure in every arena of their life, they're going to be very competitive with people because they want to make sure that they're safe. So like Aries is super competitive because they want to win and they want to seem like the best. Cancer needs to beat out other people to feel like they're not gonna get eaten alive by them. Like, eat them first so that they don't eat me type thing. Driven more so out of just security and wanting to feel secure in where they are in life. So come off competitive sometimes, but they're not going to be very aggressive about it. It's just going to be it's going to be passive and passive aggressive because it's water. Water, it explodes underwater. You don't see it from the surface of the water unless you're in the water underneath. Very passive. You won't see it in your face like fire. The pros of Cancer. So they are very nurturing, they're really great friends, they're really great partners, they're very romantic, and so they're very thoughtful about things and very sentimental about things. So you know that they will always be there for you. Because they are ruled by the moon, they're not going to be very consistent emotionally sometimes. You might see them as moody sometimes. I'm not going to get into that too much because that's a big point for the cons. If a Cancer is well regulated emotionally, then you can kind of like expect certain things from them. If like you are close with them, can trust you and stuff, like they're gonna be vulnerable with you, and like there might be times where like they might be a little overly emotional and it might be a little too much, but it's not like it lasts forever because they are ruled by the moon and the moon changes like every 3 days. The emotions change very quickly with Cancer, and so they're like kind of deemed as very emotional. It can also be really good, right? Because they're very sensitive to other people, and a lot of people love that. People love feeling important and people love feeling cared for, and Cancer is so good at doing that for people. Cancer really knows how to make you feel important and like you're number one. I didn't mention this yet, but notice too, Aries and Cancers tend to kind of flock to each other. I think it's because of that. Cancer really knows how to make people feel very special and really knows how to like kind of tend to people's needs very well, because it's almost like they don't want to have to focus on their own emotional stuff, so they kind of just focus on other people's emotional stuff, and Aries would really be attracted to that because Aries is all about them, right? I will eventually make like a compatibility video. So now let's get into some cons of Cancer. The thing with Cancer is that like they can be really freaking emotional sometimes. It can absolutely have no basis in logic at all. They're not like very logically driven. Not to say that they're stupid or anything, but they're just not logically driven. They're more emotionally driven. Lead with that. And so a lot of people that maybe don't lead with their emotions are going to find it very difficult to have a conversation with Cancer. Things that might have to be more logical in nature, because they're not going to think like that at all. They're going to be very emotional about it. And if it upsets them, then it's really gonna get really messy, and a lot of people just like don't know how to deal with that. Cancer can have like explosive moments of emotions. I think that it's because they're so passive and they don't like the confrontation. They just like hold it all in, like a lot of water signs do, and they hold it in and they hold it in and they hold it in, and then one day they just fucking explode, and it's like, dude, you really can explode when they've just had way too much stuffed in there emotionally. I mentioned earlier, because they're ruled by the moon, and the moon changes its phases so quickly and so often, and Cancer is ruled by the moon, then you're gonna notice that Cancers are very moody. And this might very well also be reflected by the moon cycle itself and what it's supposed to represent, but they are very quick to fluctuate how they're feeling about things. So like one second they might be down to do something, the next they won't be. Second you'll be very lovey-dovey, the next second they might just be super like a you know what I mean? Like they can be very hot and cold very quickly, and it's like very out of left field. The second they were being super nurturing, kind, and like attending to you so much, and then the next second it's like they want nothing to do with you and they're being kind of like snappy and stuff. Tell you why? Because they love to do that, especially when they're not feeling like talking about it. They'll just like go hide in their shell and like make you poke at them. Yeah, the big thing with Cancer that can sometimes manifest as not so great is that because they're so selective about the people that they have around them, because they have a really hard time trusting and opening up to most people, and they're gonna seem kind of cliquey sometimes, be very vulnerable to any outsiders that don't really know them very well. They don't really see outside people as predictable because they don't know them. They seem very cliquey, and people might just think that Cancer's just like, oh, you can't sit with us, you know, they're being bitchy, and maybe they are partially, but the real reason why they're being like that is because they're really scared to show you how vulnerable they really are deep down, or to let you into their little clique. Then you would know that, and then you might be able to destroy them. So can also come off very negative. They're just not feeling good about anything, then their perception is just going to be off. Emotions are going to be very muddled, and they're just going to feel very off and like about everything. And so they might be kind of like that buzzkill in your group if they're not feeling very happy or good. Like Cancer starts feeling sick and you guys are at like a bar or something, they're going to get really whiny and be like, can we go home? I don't feel good. And then everyone's going to be like, can be like on a more negative manifestation. They can be kind of like cranky and moody and negative and the buzzkill, because they are water. They're gonna be very passive aggressive. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but they're not gonna want to kind of confront you about how they're feeling if you've upset them. They just don't do well with that. They have a very hard time regulating their emotions once they're like in a triggering situation. So they would rather just avoid that completely. And so sometimes they'll just be very passive and avoidant of issues, which can sometimes be really bad for their relationships. It's like they kind of just let things rot from the inside out. They don't want to talk about it. It's too difficult for them to talk about it. So they just kind of don't want to deal with it. And so that's why I feel like sometimes a lot of Cancers, maybe they end up in like they stay in relationships just because they feel stuck and because they just can't express themselves properly to that person and let them know what's going on. So, and or also because they just feel very secure with that relationship. So instead of letting it go when they should, they sometimes hold on to things for a little too long, even if they're not good for them anymore. Hard emotional situation, they might not even understand how they're feeling at all, and that's why they just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to come off wrong either and like give you the wrong impression of how they're feeling. They would rather be very like honest about how they're feeling and accurate about how they're feeling, but like if it's gonna bring a confrontation that they feel they can't fix or nurture or do anything with after, you know, it's like after I tell you how I feel, like that's it. So I feel like they're very passive with situations sometimes. It can just be sometimes overly emotional and just difficult to have a conversation with altogether. Like if they're not doing well emotionally, like you're gonna see it, they're gonna be a mess, crying, and like it's gonna be like, you know, one of those scenes in the movies when like your friend's just like crying uncontrollably and you're just like trying to hand her the tissue, like I hope this helps, but it's like even though nothing's gonna like soothe her in that moment. It's so some of my favorite Cancer traits. So I feel like they are very sweet, very soft energies that, I mean, like I have no problem having a conversation with a Cancer. Like I feel like once they see that like you're not a threat, they are super sweet and like just like very pleasant to have conversations with, and they will really make you feel seen when it comes to emotional stuff, able to like really feel what you're going through, and they might actually give you some really good advice on how to deal with it, or they might just put it in a way that makes you feel okay about what happened and you won't feel it's such loss. You're just going to be very understanding. They want to just hear how you feel and really comfort you. So a warm hug after, or they'll cook you a really nice dinner, or they do care about other people's emotions. It's just sometimes their own can get in the way because they're so intense and constantly fluctuating. Yeah, I don't know. I really love how like Cancers are also very like committed to the people that they love, to making those people feel comfortable and safe as well with them. That's really nice. Thank you, Cancer. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Next video coming up is going to be Leo. Wow, we're moving through this pretty quick. So Little Miss Princess next. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video, and I hope you have a great day, night, I don't know what, but bye.